Hello students, welcome to lecture number 10. In today's lecture we shall discuss about PN junction as a diode and band structure of an open circuited PN junction. The textbook which I'll be referring for this topic is Electronic Devices and Circuits by Millman Helkias and Electronic Devices and Circuits by J.B. Gupta. So, most of these semiconductor devices, they employ one or more PN junctions, and basically these PN junctions are the control elements for the performance of all the semiconductor devices such as rectifiers, amplifiers, switching devices, linear and integrated circuits. The PN junction is produced by placing a layer of p-type semiconductor next to the layer of n-type semiconductor. Now let me draw the schematic here. So this figure here, it represents two blocks of semiconductor material. One is p-type and the other one is n-type. The p-type semiconductor block has mobile ions as shown by small circles and the same number of fixed negative acceptor ions shown by encircled minus sign. Similarly, the n-type semiconductor block has mobile or free electron shown by dots and the same number of fixed positive donor ions. Now, normally the holes, which are the majority charge carriers in the p-type of material, are uniformly distributed throughout the volume of that material, and similarly the electrons, which are the majority charge carriers in n-type of material, are uniformly distributed to the volume of that material. Fine. So as the name suggests, PN junction as a diode, we have p-type and n-type semiconductor under equilibrium. Now what do we mean by equilibrium? The electron and the hole concentrations under thermal equilibrium can be found by knowing the position of the Fermi energy EF with respect to the bottom of the conduction band energy EC and the top of the valence band energy EV. As previously discussed, in case of intrinsic semiconductor, the Fermi level lies midway between the conduction and the valence band. Now, with the rise in the temperature about 0 degree Kelvin, the valence electrons gain thermal energy. A few electrons in the valence band may gain sufficient energy to jump to the conduction band. Under this condition, an empty state or hole is generated in the valence band. In an intrinsic semiconductor, electrons and holes are generated in pairs by thermal energy so that the number of electrons in the conduction band is equal to the number of holes in the valence band. So basically, what is equilibrium? So under equilibrium, there is no net current flowing in the semiconductor. So before we study the junction, let us understand P and N material. Let us take two types of semiconductor material and both are silicon. So let me draw a simplified diagram here. This as P plus type silicon material, and here we are having N type, again silicon material. This is the acceptor concentration and the donor concentration. Now one is uniformly doped with the trivalent impurity so that it becomes P type, and the other one is pentavalent impurity so that it becomes N type semiconductor. The doping concentration on P side is Na, and on N type side it is Nd. Let us assume that the doping done on P type is on higher side, so let us represent it as P plus. The carrier concentration of P type semiconductor is the whole concentration on P side. So let me write it as the concentration of holes P on p side under thermal equilibrium equals to Na. Na is the doping concentration on p side, so it's an acceptor. Similarly, we can write number of electrons on n side at thermal equilibrium equal to donor concentration. Now, the electron concentration on p side will be denoted as electrons on p side at thermal equilibrium will be equal to, using the mass action law, Ni square by Na, and similarly we can write here the number of holes on n side under thermal equilibrium equals to Pno equals to Ni square by Nd. Now let us draw the energy band diagram. Now in this case the energy band gap Eg for p plus side is equal to the energy gap of n-type side. So the energy band gap Eg equals to Ec minus Ev, which is the same for both n-type as well as p-type. Let us assume the reference Ei in the middle of the energy band gap as shown in this figure. Here, this is the reference energy level which is right at the center of intrinsic semiconductor. Now, since here this is p-type semiconductor, the energy level would be closer to Ev. Fine, and let us distinguish and call it as EFP, Fermi level in the p region, and Fermi level energy of n-type semiconductor will be closer to Ec. This is the least energy level of conduction band. So as compared to the p-type, here in case of n-type semiconductor, the Fermi level should be closer to the conduction band. Fine. So we can write here Ec to EFN will be greater as compared to Ev to EVP. Fine. Here is the level for EFP and here it is EFN. Now this is the reason why, because the number of holes is very much greater as compared to number of electrons. Now we will find the distance from EFP to EI. So again let me draw the diagram here. Now we know the hole concentration as, now we have discussed this equation in the topic concentration of charge carriers in semiconductor. Now we can write this difference, that is EI minus of EFP equals to KT natural log of PPO by Ni. This figure is as good as Na. Now why are we considering this difference? If we check here this equation, the concentration of holes on p side under thermal equilibrium is a function of the difference between EI minus EFP. So we are trying to calculate this equation in terms of EI minus EFP. Similarly, for n-type semiconductor, here this is the one for p-type. Now for n-type semiconductor, let me draw this diagram first. EI, EC, EV, and the Fermi level is closer to the conduction band. So we can write on similar lines with a PPO. We can write number of electrons on n side under thermal equilibrium equals to Ni e raised to EFN minus EI by KT. What we are interested here is in finding the difference, because this difference decides the concentration. So we can write EFN minus EI equals to KT natural log of NNO Ni, and this term is as good as the donor concentration. Okay, these are the two important equations. Now let us bring these two blocks together to form a PN junction. Actually, this is not how the PN junction is formed. This is just for the hypothetical discussion to understand the concept. Again, let me draw the diagram. So it should be noted that the PN junction is not formed by merging the two separate P-type and N-type material. If it was done like this, then it would have resulted in the formation of a polycrystalline structure which would have not performed well. So the PN junction found in the semiconductor devices is actually formed in a single monocrystalline structure by adding carefully controlled amounts of donor and acceptor impurities. Now let us plot the concentration with the difference. So this is the donor ion concentration, and here is the acceptor ion concentration. So this is the difference between Na minus of Nd. Now here is this point where the doping concentration changes abruptly. So this junction is often referred to as abrupt PN junction. It is also referred to as, now what we have plotted here is the concentration with respect to distance. On P side we have only Na, and on N type side we have only Nd. So here we mark this as minus of Nd, because either side of it of the metallurgical composition is different, and hence it is referred to as metallurgical junction. So when P plus and N junction are brought together, it gives rise to concentration gradient, and again this we had discussed in the lecture diffusion, wherein we have tried to understand how this diffusion makes the charges to flow. Now we will try to understand what happens internally. Now due to this concentration gradient, the holes from the P side will try to move into the N side, that is from the higher concentration to lower concentration. So the whole movement from P side to N side will result in the diffusion current. Now this will expose, or we can say surface out, the acceptor impurity ions which are negative in nature. So here PPO is very much greater as compared to PNO. So the holes will move in this direction, and here because of this an electric field will be created in this direction, minus plus. Let us mark this as the electric field, and here this region will be composed of dopant ions. So electric field inside the PN junction stops the further diffusion of carriers. The NPO will be very much small as compared to NNO. So electrons will move in this direction from the higher concentration to lower concentration, and because of which we are going to have an electric field in this direction. So this will expose the donor dopant ions which are positive in nature. Now as what we have discussed, this diffusion will not be forever. So these dopant ions will create an electric field from positive charge to negative charge, and in this case the diffusion current will be equal to drift current. Now at this point we can say the PN junction has reached equilibrium state where there is no net current flowing to the PN junction. Now in case of equilibrium, the Fermi level should remain constant throughout the material. Now this is the most important point, so let me write here. So here is the region 1 and this part let us mark it as region 2. Now deep extreme of the N side there is no exposure of dopant ions, that is the neutral region, which means the distance between EF and EI will remain the same as we have started our discussion with. Next, the EI should be a continuous line. Now EC and EV are easy to find out. So we taken this EFP as constant throughout the material. Here is the material represented, and EI is the intrinsic energy level which is right at the center of intrinsic semiconductor. So taking this as a reference we can complete the structure. As I've said, if we know the EFP and EFN level and the intrinsic level, energy level, we can easily plot EC and EV, because we know in N-type region the Fermi level will be close to conduction band, and in case of P-type material the Fermi level will be close to the valence band. Now this is important to understand. There will be an electric field if d of EI with respect to dx is not equal to 0. Now in region 1, this is the region 1 and here this is the region 2. In region 1 as well as region 2, so let me mark here, this is region 1 and here this is region 2. So in region 1 and region 2 EI is 0, it is constant, EI is 0, it is not changing with respect to distance because the slope is 0. So we can say that the electric field in the bulk, that is interior of P and N side, would be 0. Fine. So in this extreme end we will not have any kind of electric field, and at the junction where the dopants are exposed, now this is the junction here, okay, metallurgical junction where the dopants are exposed, and with respect to this figure, now here EI is actually changing with respect to X, which means in this case dy dx of EI is not equal to 0. Fine, in this case it was not changing, it was constant, so derivative of constant is 0, but here it is not changing, so let us represent it in this using this equation, so which lies in the middle of the region. So here it consists of dopant ions. So in the middle region or in the central region there is an electric field, that too we get a negative sign because it is decreasing. That means the electric field is having a direction from plus to minus. So this is the direction of electric field. Now this is the same exactly the same that what we have discussed in the beginning. Now let us plot the charge distribution, electric field, and the potential distribution inside the PN junction, where I am taking distance on x-axis and the volume charge density on y-axis. So again, let me draw this figure on the next slide. So I am taking distance on x-axis and volume charge density on y-axis. And this is how it is denoted. So in the extreme, that is region 1 and region 2, far away in the P side, the charge is neutral. So here the charge is neutral. So is the case here. Again here we are going to have a neutral charge. So the net charge is basically 0 here, and as we move closer to the junction, there is a negative charge exposed. So we can plot its value as minus of QNA. Similarly, for N side, this value will be plus Q of ND. Now, this region is again neutral. This region here is neutral. These two regions are completely ionized, whereas this portion here along this line is partially ionized. Now, but we are going to make an assumption here called depletion approximation. Depletion approximation, in which there are only two regions, either depleted or neutral region. We are not going to consider the partially ionized region. So this figure can be drawn this way. So here this is QND. Here let me mark this as QNA. This distance is XN, and this distance, let us mark it as XP. So in the direction of X. Now if I refer to this diagram, then XN and XP. So here this region is XN and correspondingly this region will be XP. The total positive charge should be equal to total negative charge, because before forming the junction it was neutral. So we can write this as QND XN equals to QNA XP. So this gets cancelled, and if, for example, if ND decreases, then XN increases, and if NA increases, XP decreases. And if you observe this figure, XN will be greater as compared to XP, because the P side is highly doped. Now this is the equation for charge neutrality. Now let us find what is the electric field inside the PN junction. Now based on Poisson's equation, we can write, and we have the electric field related to potential as this expression. So in single variable form, we can write the expression as, now this is for your understanding, we can actually skip this part. Now based on 1 and 2, or using 1 and 2, we can write the relationship between electric field to charge distribution as E equals to rho V by epsilon. So in order to find the electric field, let us do the integration of this charge distribution. So we have the charge distribution in this fashion. Here this is the direction of electric field, rho V, and x is the distance. So looking at the function, we can find the area. So this is electric field E. Now we start integrating towards the right, okay, and from here this area will get added to the positive value, so that the value of electric field increases, which means it goes up, and when it reaches xn, we know this is xn, the electric field becomes 0 because this is the neutral region. The reason we get electric field equals to negative is because the electric field is actually pointed from N side to P side, but we are integrating the electric field from the P side to N side. So this is how we are integrating from this side, okay, from P side to N side, which means the electric field is negative with respect to x, and this value is minus of q n a xp by epsilon. So either way, okay, looking from this end or this end, the electric field is maximum and has got a value Na xp by E, that is epsilon. So let me write this expression again, equals to plus of q, that is the charge of an electron, acceptor ions, the width xp divided by epsilon, or we can write it as q nd xn by epsilon. Note that the maximum electric field will be right at the metallurgical junction. Now next we have to find the electric potential. Let me continue from the previous diagram. This distance is xp minus, and this distance is xn, electric field, and the maximum value is minus of q Na xp by epsilon. Okay, it is in the direction of x. To find the electric potential from this electric field is straightforward, because we know that V equals to integral E dx. Again we apply the same logic for finding the integral, that is finding the area. Now here till minus of xp equals to 0, and from minus of xp we have a minus sign, negative sign, so it will rise in the positive direction. here. Because of this negative sign, and here it is minus, so it will rise in the positive side n to xn. So it started from minus of xp, it will go up to xn, and after xn the area will not increase as the potential will remain constant, and this potential we call it as built-in potential. This is referred to as or junction potential. And denoted as VBI, and this direction I forgot to mention, it is V, so it is electric potential or a potential energy, and here this is 0, so this is the distance from the origin. Here is the metallurgical junction. Now this VBI is actually the area under the curve. Fine. And area under the curve is actually half into base into height. Now for triangular area, this is the formula. So we have from our previous discussion, ND xn equals to Na xp. Let us mark this as equation 1. Area under the curve, we are interested in finding the built-in potential VBI, so it will be equal to half into the base. Base is xp plus xn, the distance xp plus xn into the height, and the height is here, the max value. So we can write it as Q ND xn by epsilon. Here it is mentioned. So we can write xn in terms of the W, that is the width, and here this is the width we are talking about. It is xn plus xp, which equals to the width, the junction width, or it is also referred to as more famously depletion width. We can write VBI equals to W by E. Here just I am writing xp plus xn as W, the junction width, into the equation as it is ND xn by epsilon. So let us mark this as 2, and from here I can write xn plus xp. Let us write xp in terms of xn. From this equation 1 we can write it as ND by Na into xn equals to W. This is what I got from this equation, this expression. Clear? So I can write xn equals to W Na upon Na plus Nd. Okay, note down the value of xn. Now what you need to do is n in value of built-in potential VBI, and we can write it as VBI equals to Q ND W Na by Na plus Nd. Now from where I got this expression? So we have, which is written in terms of W, and here we are going to replace the value of Xn in terms of Na and Nd. So it is always advised to have fewer number of parameters in any problem. So if we work it out, then the W becomes 2 E0 Er by Q VBI 1 upon Na plus 1 upon Nd raised to the power of 2, and these two equations are the most important equations, and we are going to solve some problems based on these two equations in our next tutorial. So what is the outcome, or what we have learned from these two equations? Now if given the doping concentrations and the relative permittivity, here E0 and Er, okay, relative permittivity of the p-n junction and the built-in potential. So if I know E0 Er VBI and this doping concentration, the value of Q is known to us 1.602 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulombs. Then we can actually find the depletion width. So here W is depletion width, and we can also find the individual width of Xn. So Xn we have calculated in the previous slide. It is Na upon Na plus Nd, and likewise Xp will be equal to W Nd upon Na plus Nd. So this difference, this here it is a P region, and we have a N region this side, and this is the depletion width W, and this is Q dot VBI. Now this portion here, let us mark it as A, and here let us mark it as B with respect to EI, the Fermi level right at the center for intrinsic semiconductor. So Q dot VBI is equal to, it's a lateral shift, so basically it is A plus B, and what is A is the difference between EI and EFP, and B is EFN and EI. So let me write here A equals to EI minus EFP, and B equals to EF minus EFN minus EI. Okay, so this we have calculated, and we obtain this value as KT natural log of Na by Ni, and here this is in terms of n-type semiconductor Ln, so we're going to have donor by Ni, intrinsic concentration. Now addition of these two terms will give us Q dot VBI. So you can write Q dot VBI, that is the product of charge and built-in potential, equals to KT natural log of Na by Ni plus natural log of Nd by Ni. So VBI equals to KT by Q natural log of Na Nd by Ni square. So VBI equals to Vt Na Nd by Ni square. So this is the most an all important equation. This Vt is the voltage coefficient of temperature, where K is the Boltzmann constant, T is the temperature in degree Kelvin, and Q is the charge on electron. For T equals to 300 degree Kelvin, this value Kt by Q is 26 millivolts. The value of K is constant, the value of Q is constant. I just get the ratio of T divided by Q by K, and if I replace T as 300, this value of Vt comes out to be 26 millivolts at 300 degree Kelvin. Now with this we have come to an end of the p-n junction as a diode for zero applied bias. Now the outcome of this lecture is we can calculate the junction width, the built-in potential, the energy level, the voltage level, the value of Xn and Xp. I hope you have understood this lecture. In the next lecture